Today, to be successful as a marketer, you need to be authentic.
Today, we're with Nelson Albareda, CEO of Loud and Live. You had a good week with Billboard this week. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was recognized as the Executive of the Year by Billboard Magazine, and it's a real great reward.
I wanted to commend you on signing Christian Alicea. That was an awesome move.
You're on point. You've done your homework well. Take time to plan, to think, and then execute.
Nobody's done something like that.
It doesn't matter what you do.
What's going on, everybody? This is Alex Quin, and you're listening to the Hustle Inspires Hustle podcast. Today, we're with Nelson Albareda, CEO of Loud and Live. What's up, man?
Good, man. Thank you so much for coming over to our offices and for hosting this podcast.
This is a beautiful office space, man. I love this.
Thank you. This is our corporate headquarters.
And you actually had an awesome event in the rooftop a few months ago with Piso 21. That was fantastic.
Yeah, we try to use a rooftop for artists that we work with. And
Yeah.
we're now also doing like emerging artists to give them a platform to be able to perform. So we don't do a lot in the summer because, Miami's hot and the humidity. But
Yeah.
we'll kick it off now again, like probably October through March, April.
And the view up there is beautiful, 360. Love that.
Yeah, you can see
almost
actually.
360, right?
Yeah, you can see all of downtown Brickell from the rooftop.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So you've had a long track record, man. I want to get into who you are, what you do. Loud and Live Entertainment is a extremely recognized touring company, and you guys do brand deals. But it didn't always start that way, right? How was your entrance into the entertainment world?
Well, I started my career in the music business.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went into advertising, so I worked at advertising agencies. Then I went into media. I specifically worked in radio.
Yeah.
When radio was much bigger than now, which is really how I got my entrance into really live events.
Okay.
I started a business unit within a radio company, which is what is Univision Radio today.
Okay.
And started a business unit that would focus not only on live events and events. So we built events all around the country. And then we started working with brands, which really got us into the space of there's opportunities to work brands and culture and music. And that's really how I got my start. Then I decided to become an entrepreneur, highly overrated but rewarding.
Yeah.
And started a company that was focused really general market and Hispanic focused.
Okay.
And Latin. And then that company did great. And as great as it did, we lost $3 million within a 2-week period.
Jesus.
And I had to shut down the business.
Uh-huh.
It was great in retrospect because I had other partners. So I was able to buy the partners out, and I rebranded that into a company called Eventus. Eventus.
Okay.
Which in Latin means experience. So that's how we
Okay.
came up with the name, which is really how the word event comes.
Yeah.
Actually, not in Latin.
No.
So we started that company. We didn't really have a lot of capital. I was just starting, a dollar table in my house, and I actually had another employee who worked out of her house on her table.
Oh my goodness.
And we started with $1, started working really on the brand space. Because to be able to be a big player in entertainment, you need capital. So we started working with brands. Our first 2 big clients were the Latin Grammys and McDonald's. So we created this event property for Latin Grammy called Latin Grammy Street Parties, which were festivals leading up to the Latin Grammys in high density Hispanic neighborhoods. So that really put us on the map, the fact that the Latin Grammys had trusted us as an organization to produce events for them.
Right.
And we did, over a course of about 10 years, maybe 60 festivals across the country. These were 30,000, 40,000 people festivals. We had over 600 acts that worked in those festivals. So we were responsible for producing, for marketing the festivals and brand deals. These were all free festivals around the country. So that really got us on the map. And then one day McDonald's called us and said, hey, we think you guys are real strong on music, and music is a core pillar for Latinos and for McDonald's. Would you like to be our agency of record? And I didn't even know what an agency of record was, but I got on a plane, went to Chicago, met with McDonald's, and that was our first big corporate client. That grew to a point where Eventus was growing 40% year over year. We picked up tons of brands. We picked up Dr. Pepper. We picked up Walmart. We worked with Kimberly-Clark, Nestle, Unilever, Verizon, State Farm, Bank of the West, Bank of America. And we worked in that space. We did festivals like what we did with Latin Grammys. We did a partnership with Univision around Premio Juventud. And then we were a regional promoter. I was always a music lover.
Okay.
And we started in South Florida doing regional concerts. And we were a small promoter. And the business grew and grew. And then in 2013, I was approached by a couple of companies that wanted to acquire us. And we sold the business in 2013 to a private equity-led venture. And that was great, right? We sold to a company that was probably about $51, $52 billion, 40,000 employees. So it was Interesting to go from 200 employees to an organization that big. I stayed on as CEO until 2016, and then in 2017 started Loud and Live.
Beautiful. So it's been about like 6-7 years with Loud and Live.
It's been 6 years. If you take the pandemic out, it's really a 4-year-old company.
It's a baby, man.
Yeah.
And you guys have done so great.
Yeah, listen, it's hard work pays off, but Loud and Live, Loud and Live is really, we like to say, we, convert, culture into commerce.
Okay.
So Loud and Live, a lot of people like yourself says, hey, the touring company. Loud and Live is really beyond just touring. So we have, the easiest way to say it is really 2 buckets of business, and we have multiple divisions. Okay. One of them is the brand side. So in the case of brands, we work for brands. Mm-hmm. So today we work for Walmart, we work for McDonald's, we work for Amazon Prime, we work with New Balance and Avianca. And what we help clients with specifically is connecting culture through commerce. So if you think about it, right, whether it be sneaker, whether you're McDonald's, whether you're any brand in today's world, you have to be authentic, and you have to work through culture, whether it be sneaker culture, whether it be music culture, whether it be health culture. So we really help these brands really identify what is that culture that can really drive your business. And then we help them through content, experiential, social, digital. Obviously, we do a lot of artist deals because it's, part of connecting
It's part
culture,
of it, yeah.
through commerce. But so that's a division that we're real strong on. That division operates primarily today in U.S., Puerto Rico. We have a presence in Latin America. And then on the other side, you have what we call entertainment lifestyle, which is we're a promoter. So we are any given day top 10 promoter in the world, which is interesting because I think if you look at the top 20 lists over the last 10 years, there's not a lot of promoters that make it to the list, within 4 or 5 years as a top 10 global. I think we're the largest entertainment company in Florida outside of a Disney or Universal. Yeah. We do probably 400 or 500 shows a year, specifically in the U.S. and from Canada all the way down to Argentina, Latin. We did do a joint venture with a gentleman that I respect tremendously called Phil Rodriguez. Phil owns a company called Move Concerts.
Move Concerts, that's right.
And they're the largest independent promoter in Latin America. They operate in Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Colombia, Panama, Chile, Central America, Puerto Rico. Yeah. And they do everything that is Anglo. So they work everything from an Ed Sheeran to an Adele to a Michael Bublé. Yeah. And it's cool, interesting too, because, Phil is a Miami guy who operates out of Miami. And his vision was to really bring music to kids in Latin America that because of infrastructure, there wasn't, 30 years ago. And one of the things that I like to do too is give back to the communities we serve. Yeah. So everything we look at has some type of community angle, and how do we give back? So in addition to touring, basically the fact that we're a global company and we're based in Miami, it's very important to own our own backyard. Yeah. So we have a business unit that focuses only on large footprint events in South Florida. We operate the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, the Soul Flow Boat Show, which is a new boat show that we launched this year. House of Horror Haunted Carnival, which is the largest independent Halloween event in the country. We do about 130,000 people. We are launching this year 2 new properties, 2 new events, which is Country Bay Music Festival.
Which is incredible and completely fresh to the Miami scene. Nobody's done something like that.
No,
at least I don't think so, right?
No, first of all, country music is booming and blowing up, kind of like Latin on a global level. And then beyond that, when you look at country music, 30% more or less, a little bit more, of country music fans in the United States identify themselves of Latino origin. So there's a big
30%?
Yeah, 30%.
Wow.
Yeah. So we wanted to bring country to Miami. And we're doing Country Bay Music Festival, which we're doing, first of all, Highway to Country Bay, which is a series of concerts at PBR, which is a new country club, not country club, country music club.
Country music club,
yeah. Here in Miami, and we're doing a series of concerts on Friday nights leading up to the festival, which is in November. Yeah. And we have every Friday a show, like we have Kip Moore and other talent. And then the actual festival is headlined by Sam Hunt, Thomas Rhett, Lainey Wilson, which is right now the hottest female country music, Lee Bryce, Chris Young. So, first Miami goes country, and obviously we got to go big or go home, so we're doing it the right way.
How did that come to be?
First of all, it happened because my wife is a big country music listener. Okay. And I started looking as well as my kids. Oh, okay. I have 3 beautiful kids, a boy who's 21, a girl who's 19 and 16, and I see them all listening to country. And these are all second generation, Hispanic, third generation. And then we started looking at it, and then about 5 years ago, right when we had just launched Loud and Live, we did a test with a festival called Tequila Bay, which was
Okay.
at Marine Stadium. And we tested it, did successfully well. Obviously, then the pandemic hit. And now we are launching Country Bay. But it really was born out of, I started seeing a need for country music. And, 52% right now of our ticket sales for the festival are coming out of Dade County. So we do have people flying in from all over
Yeah.
for the festival, but 52% of our tickets are coming straight from Dade County. So Miami goes country.
That's incredible. And I like first of all, thanks for breaking all of that down. And I see why the machine operates the way that it does, also because of your track record, because you talked about radio, you talked about advertising, you worked at an advertising agency. So you are able to have that component of the business that's kind of like the advertising agency side, also the music side, but it all comes together because events require brand deals, events require doing activations with artists, or like Country Bay Music Festival leading up to the Country Bay Music Festival, different satellite events. All of that stuff comes from having all of that that foundation of advertising, and you've been able to do some incredible things. Like I just recently I saw what you did with McDonald's. That was pretty cool. Talk to me about that activation you did. You guys rebranded some buildings for a Latino campaign.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we looked at when we talk about, driving, well, first of all, I think you're right. So I think, my career was music, media, advertising, and, Loud and Live really represents my whole career in one bucket.
Yeah.
And it's because we really realized that at the end of the day, today to be successful as a marketer, you need to be authentic. Consumers want authenticity, and culture drives that authenticity.
Right.
So us, like any other agency or marketing company, we don't have to go outside the building, right? The marketing guys will come over to the entertainment guys and say, hey, what's happening in this music genre? What's happening? We can get any artist on the phone within 24 hours. Hey, is this something you would do or not? So that is really, you're correct on that. It's really the combination of what we thought we would design of what a global marketing and lifestyle, culture, entertainment company should be today. McDonald's is interesting that you bring that up because what we identified was that there was a space with Gen Z where they're very much into music, but they're also very much into art. So we created this program called Ritmo y Color.
Ritmo y Color.
Ritmo y Color. And Ritmo y Color
Rhythm
really,
and color.
Right, rhythm and color. And what it does is it brings visual artists together with music and with artists. Okay. So we have picked, and this is the second year of the program, we pick visual artists of different backgrounds that are local. So whether it be somebody of Salvadoran or Mexican descent in LA, or a Cuban of origin or Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter, but somebody that is a Latino visual artist, and we give them a platform to collaborate with an artist. So there's custom artwork that is done. We rebrand and wrap stores in the community to become iconic with the art of this visual artist, giving them a platform.
Yeah.
And then we also do concerts and streams. We've been doing a lot of content where we stream these artists, the making of the art, the visual with music. So for instance, the up and coming, there's Camilo, and Camilo will be doing a private concert for McDonald's consumers, and it all brings out the art. We've done surprise and delight moments where you'll have Camilo in one of these rap stores working on the drive-thru. So now you get to the store and you get surprised. So we've been doing the program, and we've had Farruko, we've had Nicky Jam, we've had Camilo, we've had Prince Royce, and then visual artists from all these different markets. But you're right, a big thing that works here is the brand. So like Country Bay is going to be happening obviously not only because of ticket sales and fans, but because of brands. So like Zelle is a founding partner, and they came in and said, hey.
Zelle, banking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. So Zelle wants to be part of Country Bay. So that is our ecosystem. And it's really, I think, I always say that we are a marketer turned promoter.
Okay.
Versus a promoter turned marketer. Most promoters want to get into the marketing world. We kind of did the flip, by default, because I didn't have the capital back then. And I've always been, and I continue to be a marketer. So we really started in the brand space and then went into the lifestyle entertainment spaces versus the reverse of that. So we really take into consideration, what do these brands need to be able to win, to get the ROI? A lot of artists come and say, oh, I want to be doing an endorsement deal. it's not necessarily like that. When I work for the brands, we work for the brand. We got to find who's right for the brand.
For the brand, that's right.
And it's the same thing with the brand. Like, what event is really going to work for you? It's not just slapping on a logo. This is the strategy behind it. How are we going to turn customers for you? How are we going to drive?
Yeah, you're going to give them results so that you have a fruitful partnership that continues.
Correct. And then on top of that, the authenticity.
Yeah.
So when we did I don't know if you know, like 2 years ago, I think we did a deal with J Balvin and McDonald's.
McDonald's. That blew my mind. I always ask myself, who did that? And then when I talked to you that time a few months ago, and you told me you were behind that, it blew my mind, because as a marketer, as somebody that's owned a marketing agency for 10 years, like, we've aspired to do deals like that. And the creativity behind that, I said, it had to be people that really know exactly what they're doing, that know how to connect the dots. So it's really cool that you brought that to life.
But it's interesting because J Balvin was not a client of the company.
Okay.
McDonald's is who we work for. And we had to find the right artist to do that partnership, that it would be authentic, that it would work. And it was J Balvin. So, you got to do what's right for the brand. You got to do what's right for the artist. And look, we briefed J Balvin on the campaign, which was not necessarily the way we should have done it, because typically the ad agency will create a brief, and then the artist goes from there and does the work. And we just kind of told him, listen, Jose, this is what the deal is. This is what McDonald's stands for. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And the next day, he came back with a song for McDonald's, and we were like, wow, this song is perfect. My team was a little scared because we didn't follow the process that we should follow at McDonald's. But I said, look, send it to the client. Send it to the agencies, because we work in a multi-agency environment. Everybody heard the song and said, there's nothing that we need to change on the song.
Yeah.
So that's finding the right fit, and the authenticity of what we bring is finding that right mix, which is really what makes Loud and Live, who it is.
I love it. And you guys are on the cusp of not only working with the greats, but you guys are also keeping an eye out for people who are going to be the greats. I wanted to commend you on signing Christian Alicea. That is incredible, man. That kid is extremely talented. He has a great attitude. He's extremely talented. The media loves him. That was an awesome move.
Yeah, I think, that's another thing, which is a good point. You're on point. You've done your homework well, which is, look, Loud and Live is not just about the big guys. First of all, we didn't start with big guys. We started with small guys. Yeah. And our ecosystem is to continue to keep driving music, to continue to foster relationships, to continue to develop talent. In the case of Christian Alicea, I think he's a super bright guy, talented, charismatic. And I do think that there is an opportunity. Everybody talks about urban music, and I think tropical, when you talk about salsa, bachata, it's going to come back. Not maybe the way that we knew it, like a urban salsa, fusions of salsa, but I believe there's right now, 8, 9 Christian Aliceas out there that are changing kind of the music scene on the urban tropical side. So we're very fortunate that we were able to get that deal done. But even beyond Christian Alicea, we're firm believers in really fostering, developing artists. Today's small artists is tomorrow's big artists. And it's important for the ecosystem to continue to develop talent. When you came here with Piso 21, which they're established, when you talk about the rooftop, that's one of the things that we try to do. Hey, how do we do it? I told you, we're about giving back. So one of the things that we have a big thing is women in our industry, specifically on the entertainment side, underrepresented. I hate to go to meetings where there's 10 guys. So we're going to be launching, we did it this year, we're going to do it again, a program not only internally, but using that rooftop to bring women together and talk about how do we continue to foster them in the entertainment business. We're going to be launching next year a young industry event. So how do we foster new talent? I'm talking about new talent as in human capital. Like, how do we, the next leaders of the entertainment business or the marketing business that are young? So networking events for young, talented professionals in our industries. So for me, it's very important to give back. Everything that we do has a give back, like I had told you. So for instance, with the boat show, we're going to be doing a program for boating advocacy, where we're going to be helping a couple foundations to spread in South Florida boating, safety. Yeah. Fortunately, one of my son's best friends passed away in a boating accident a couple of years ago, and for us, it's important to give back.
Hit home, yeah.
With the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, which is one of the oldest events in the country. It'll be 60 years. We just did a $75,000 scholarship where we gave 30 kids, scholarships to be able to foster the arts. Latin Grammys, obviously, you asked me in the beginning, was the first, client. I'm obviously a member of the Academy, and I've been blessed to win a couple awards. But how do we continue to foster, kids that really want to go to Berkeley? We did a big donation to the Latin Grammy Cultural Foundation last year. We did $1 million commitment so that kids can have the opportunity to not worry about anything, and they have not only their tuition but room and board, and really foster. It's important for us and for me, I think God has blessed me and blessed our organization, that everything we do has to have some type of giving back to the communities we serve.
Who or what instilled that in you? Like, how long have you been this way? Has it always been like that?
You know what? It's always been in my DNA. I come from a great family, but I think God has blessed me with opportunity and talent. I mean, listen, you talk about hustle. I'm a hustler.
Yeah.
But it's hustle and also giving back. I've always been like that. I've been always very quiet about it. I mean, obviously, even throughout my whole career, even when I had no money, I've always given back. I think it's important to do that.
You don't have to have money to give back.
I agree.
People wait till they have money to give back. You don't have to wait. Or
and giving back, agreed. And giving back is not just financially.
Yeah.
Giving back is, hey, how do we create, like we launched this year an internship program. And I said, look, I don't want paper pushers. I don't want a kid to come here and just push paper. Like, how do we foster to teach them? It's not just a financial thing. Because we're growing and because it's important today to be socially conscious, then we're announcing some of these things that we do in the community. But I've always been about giving back since I was a little kid.
Nice.
What you give to me, God has been too good not to help people and give back and share knowledge, share support. And if there's financial support that we can do, we do it as well.
That's amazing, because the community and culture aspect is always going to be important for businesses, and you could see that reflected in for example, the campaign you just discussed about McDonald's. You use local artists, you tapped into the Latin community. A lot of advertising agents or even advertisers think sometimes advertising is just about putting brand banners up, putting billboards up, making noise, placing ads. But if it doesn't connect with the people, then you didn't really do your job. You're just out there, but people don't really feel the connection. So it's not as good.
Yeah, look, I think it's the same thing, right? You have to be authentic across the board. It's not just about saying I'm going to give back or, for the brand standpoint, or I'm going to do a campaign. I think today's consumer, it's all about authenticity. Is this brand really care about my community? Do they really care about what they're pushing? Mm-hmm. Which is why I think even when you talk about anything in culture, where you're talking about an athlete, you're talking about a celebrity, if it doesn't match, we just did a program, for instance, with Goya. Mm-hmm. Goya Cares. And it was inspired through human trafficking. And we did a partnership with Carlos Vives. Mm-hmm. And, Carlos Vives has a foundation in Colombia, Tras la Perla. And one of his initiatives is in Santa Marta to help human trafficking. So, the fact that Goya Cares has
to help raise awareness on human trafficking.
To help bring awareness. Yeah. Sorry.
It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Carlos is on some shit.
No. So he has a foundation and in Colombia to help, not human traffic, but to help the cause and create awareness and all that. That'd be really off subject for us. And Goya Cares had the same type of initiative. So it was great to bring them together, because now we elevate somebody like Carlos, something like a brand like Goya, which is such a big in our community, to really create awareness. So it's authentic, right? Yeah. If we would have put any other artist to do that with Goya, it wouldn't have been authentic, because this is something that's close to his heart. Yeah,
and it's a moment where people really care about that. The whole movement with Sound of Freedom, and even people like Tony Robbins and Mel Gibson getting involved with stuff like that. Now more than ever, it's important for people with influence to help in causes that they feel are important, because people listen. And to the point of authenticity, people see so many ads, people see so many content nowadays that people could smell BS and lies from far away now. So if you just keep it real and you're authentic and true to yourself, it's going to be much easier to navigate. And in a sense, you're going to be able to do business and deals a lot more freely, because you can be yourself. You don't have to worry about being something that you're not.
100%.
Now let's talk about Billboard, because you had a good week with Billboard this week. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've always been an under the radar guy. The last couple of years, I've had to stay a little bit out and do podcasting like I'm doing with you right now. But yeah, I was recognized as the Executive of the Year by Billboard magazine, and it's a real great reward when you think about it and think about hustle. I was always in the music business, but 7 years ago, it was hard to get artists on the phone, right? Yeah. And the fact that just 6 years later, I'm recognized by Billboard as a power player, which I've been on the list, but as the executive within Latin for the year, it's a big recognition. And, I don't think it's just about me. I'm a big team player and a big family guy. We have a lot of core values at Loud and Live, and I think this is a recognition definitely on me, but really on the team that's behind me.
What are those core values? What do you stand
So
behind?
our core values are right over there, but I'm gonna behind the camera. But I'm gonna tell you, and now in no interest. The first one is familia, and it's the only one that's in Spanish, which is at the end of the day we're family. We spend so much time here together and working in our industry that it's important. ABC, which is always be closing. You always gotta be a hustler. You're always gonna be closing, the deal. Fun and crazy is healthy. Why? Because to be able to be in this business and work the amount of hours you work and give yourself to clients, whether it be fans, artists, or brands, you gotta have fun and you gotta be a little crazy. So it's healthy. Passion and be passionate. Like you gotta be passionate about what you do. Integrity. Right. I think one of the things that, we instill as a team, and by the way, those core values were created by like the first 12 employees. So it wasn't just like I said, hey, let's do these. These are our core values. And the funny thing is they were created by the first 12 employees. But when you look at the ecosystem today, I don't think there's one core value out there that we would change. So being authentic. And the last one, and maybe I forgot one, is always the most important one, which is be humble.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big you are, what you do. Humility is important to us, right? Yeah. So we instill that.
Empathy, all that. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, that's always reachable, humble. I tell a lot of people, like, I pick up every call I get. I try to answer every email I get. I try to be out there, I try to go out there to all of our events, to be there with the employees, to be there with the artists. And it's important. It doesn't matter what you do, be humble.
How do you maintain your essence in such a crazy industry? I know there's a lot of challenges, could be a lot of roadblocks. A lot of people get hardened by the industry. I've talked to you several times and it has always been pleasant. I've always felt heard, respected. Not a lot of people are that way. Do you think that maybe that's a lot of the reason behind the success of your brand?
Yeah, look, I think that the DNA of a leader of any organization permeates throughout. And I'm really, that's what I really believe at the core. I have to lead by example. At the end of the day, it's about just being, I think the number one thing is integrity and delivering. Right? When I say go big or go home or whatever it takes, by the way, is another core value that I forgot, is we do whatever it takes to deliver to anybody. To deliver first to our employees. If we care about our employees will care about the business. Whether it be a fan, for me, the fan experience is huge. The brand, what to deliver to a brand. If we say we're going to do something, we deliver an artist. But I think what really has been the success of us and will continue to be is under promise, over deliver, and really that integrity factor. I don't think anybody will tell you Loud Live wasn't there for me, or Loud Live didn't do this for me, or Nelson, messed up this deal or didn't deliver. So that's very, that's what we are. We're authentic people.
Your word is your pride.
That's right.
That's a Lil Wayne quote. My word is my pride. He says that.
I guess another one, but yes.
It's the Scarface one.
Yeah. All I got is my word.
All I got is my word. So listen, Nelson, let me ask you something, man. How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the guy that gave it all. That I always did what was right. I always gave it all. And that's about it. I don't think there's a much thing. I just want to make sure that I work so hard that people know, hey, this is a guy that everything he wanted to do, he did. He gave it all he could. Family is very important to me. When you work so hard, sometimes you forget about the people that are around you. Your kids, your wife, your parents. And at the end of the day, this is all great. By the way, tomorrow, Loud Live's not here, and I don't know who really will say, hey, Nelson. So to me, it's family, and that I always gave it everything that I had.
For entrepreneurs that strive to be like you one day and accomplish the things that you have accomplished, what is your number one advice in regards to being able to balance work and family, which are your pillars?
I think there's twofold. First of all, I think that we as entrepreneurs are dreamers, and you have to balance the dream with what's, for me, it's always a balance, right? Is what's that dream and what can you really execute and continue like always. I think the biggest thing with entrepreneurs is that we just take a leap of faith, sometimes without thinking or having a plan. And at the end of the day, you're only as good as execution. On the life-work balance, I think you have to look, I think early in my career, I probably didn't dedicate, I was a great dad and I've been a great dad, but I probably didn't dedicate as much time as I should have to my family and to myself. Because one of the things that we forget as entrepreneurs is, hey, how about you? Right? How do you take care of yourself?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about physically, mentally. So I think the biggest thing is that, listen, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be a hustler, you're going to be a burner, you're going to burn through hours. There's no doubt. And I think it was Elon Musk that said, and I always say this, if you work 60 hours a week and your competitor works 40 hours a week, well, at the end of the month, he worked a month, I worked a month and a half.
Yeah.
So when you put that at the year, if I work 60 hours or I work 80 hours, then at the end of the year, I worked 2 years when you worked 1 year. So I think that's part of being an entrepreneur, but you can't keep the focus that time is precious, life is precious, and to be able to also not forget about loved ones around you is important, because those are the people that are there for you and that are going to support you to be that successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, because a lot of the times I see people so focused living in the future, wanting to provide for their family and be a good family person, but they're so in the future, they're not in the moment. So then when the future gets here, they realize that all this time passed and they should have enjoyed. So it's very important because people talk about hustle, people talk about work, and they seem to neglect the fact that, like what you just said, not a lot of people have shared that with me, which is make time for yourself. A lot of people talk about family. Family is important. Your significant other, but yourself, taking time for you, things that are important to you, whether it's working out, whether it's reading, whether it's meditating, whatever the case may be, make sure that your mind is right, because a saturated mind is not going to do as well as a mind that's calm and collected and cool and has had the chance to think, right? Thinking time is very important. I take about 15, 20 minutes a day just think. How can I resolve the situation? What are my ways to get to this end point instead of always doing? It's good to just pause and pen to paper and plan out your life.
Yeah, it's a very well point. Look, for me, it's boating. And
boating?
Yeah, I love to go out on the water.
Yeah.
And listen, I always got to bring myself back because, trust me, I'm a workaholic. But, when this past summer I spent working remote, which I had never done because I took 2 months to be able to spend it with the family.
Oh, wow, nice.
And but I worked 6 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon every day, and I did calls. But I see the change when you take care of yourself. First of all, by default, you'll be a better father, a better partner to your family, to your spouse. And then second of all is you're very right. Like, taking time for yourself to think. I do, my kids make fun of me because I do a list for everything. So I have like a list of 1,000 things to do, obviously, and then I prioritize it. And they're like, Dad, you have a list for everything,
Yeah.
But it's important to take time to plan, to think, and then execute. Execution is the biggest key, right? You can have all the dreams in the world, but if you don't execute, you don't make it happen. So as an entrepreneur, what can you do today? What is, that life balance, as well as what you said, which is, the future's there, but you got to win today. I'm always balancing between what do we need to do to win today and what do we need to do to win 18 months from now? And they both are very important.
Right. Long term, short term. Nelson, this has been an incredible conversation, man. Thank you for your time. I know you have an extremely busy schedule, so taking time to speak to us today, I know, is important for us, and it means a lot. I've learned a lot from you directly and indirectly. I think it's really cool. What you do is inspiring, so it means a lot that you took the time to be with
No, listen, thank you so much for having me, for coming by, for spending the time, and you have your house here. We're a family, so whenever you want to come by, you come by, and if anything I can help you with anything or vice versa, I look forward to it, and thank you for giving me the time.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, if you like this episode, you want to share it with family and friends, go to the show notes on whatever streaming app you're listening to this right now, or on hustleinspireshustle.com. This is Alex Quin, Nelson Albareda from Loud and Live Entertainment. We'll see you on the next episode.